agenda item is budget review, budget update. Our presenting staff will be Lorie Gillis, Chief Financial Officer, and Lori Dugan, Director of Budget and Treasurer. Purposes for the staff to answer any questions with regard to the 2014-2015 budget development process.
As a quick reminder, we are seeing an increase in state revenue and total program funding. You can see the graph of the trends. We are still not at the per pupil funding level that we experienced in 9-10. We are spending down our fund balance by about $100,000, with beginning reserves of $63 million, revenues of $648, expenditures of $596 billion. Ending reserve balances at about $63 million, which is about 10%.
I will say this, I won't ask you. I do not believe that makes good financial sense. I don't think that's good planning by this board. And I would like to make a motion to allocate $2 million in reserves in the current budget draft that we are looking at right now.
We voted on this last meeting, Ms. Dahlkemper.
I think the next question is if there's a second when a motion is placed on the table.
Second.
We're not going to keep voting on the same question every meeting, Ms. Dahlkemper.
Usually discussion follows.
Discussion?
We want to hear. We cannot hear. The microphone up there. You guys speak
The best we can do, we'll talk as loudly as we can.
Your best was not good enough.
I think the financial experts have been real clear with us. We need to put more money into reserves. $2 million is a minimal amount. As you said, Mr. Witt, when you look at the entire budget, it's a very minimal amount. But it's just like being with your personal budgeting at home. If you're not consciously putting money into your savings account, it's real easy to just say, it's okay, I don't have to worry about that. I think it's really important that we at least put in the $2 million into reserves and take it from somewhere else.
Mr. Newkirk.
My question would be, where would you propose that the $2 million come from or be reallocated from?
For me, it would be right here under the charter school equalization, and I'm still not clear if that 7.7 million is out of the 16.7 million. The sound is really weird. So I'm not clear about that. That just seems a lot for 8% of our district.
Please do not applaud and allow us to proceed with the meeting.
You have already spent in excess of the money that you have coming in, so these new revenues help balance your previous budgetary decisions.
I guess I would add on the reserves question. We need to get to and stay at a reserves level that is appropriate. We're at a 10% reserve level. We've investigated and explored many times whether or not that's an adequate level. And we have no reason to believe that a 10% reserve level is not adequate to maintain our AA rating. Therefore, we do not have to keep building reserves beyond and beyond and beyond the level which is adequate. Proper financial management says to manage reserves at a target level which is appropriate for the business operation. And we are at 10%.
If you could comment on this, what the consequences are of lower than recommended reserve levels and the impact that they have on flexibility in terms of decision making, and just the impact that you talk about in terms of schools' achievement and bond ratings.
Okay, we do want to have reserves that are adequate for us to maintain our AA rating. I believe that's critical. If ratings are decreased, they're very difficult, if not impossible, to increase. And we have other issues that will be coming in front of us, implementation of the new pension GASB, which will impact how things are presented. So maintaining our reserves is critical. Meeting with the bond rating agencies, that was our biggest point of discussion, was keeping those reserve levels and having a budget that is structurally balanced. when you read the letter from Moody's and actually S&P early on, when we had a negative indicator, reference to structural imbalance was their concern. You've been spending down reserves, when are you going to stop? So maintaining the current level of reserves is important. Initially, when the recommendations came from SPAC, we had an uptick in reserves planned in the out years because we were seeing better information and didn't have the current board direction for this spending level. And so now we're holding at about a 10% reserve balance. In our assumptions and projections, we have worked to, well, by inserting the reductions, maintain that 10%. Moody's, in the recommendations for maintenance of a AA rating, recommend an 8 to 15% reserve balance as a percentage of revenues. So we're within that range, but we're down towards the bottom. If we have any other increases in spending, dips in revenue, we could fluctuate out of that level of reserve balance. So we want to be really mindful in our spending.
We are at 10%.
Mr. Witt, are you saying that the advice of our Financial Oversight Committee, our Strategic Planning Advisory Council, and Ms. Gillis are wrong?
Ms. Dahlkemper, I'm saying that a 10% reserve level is adequate, and they gave us the same testimony when we've asked. It is adequate. It may not be their preferred, but it is adequate.
I will say to you, and I don't know if you campaigned on behalf of 3A, 3B, but this community has weathered very difficult financial times. And I think as I look out into the audience and I see signs for 3A, 3B, these are people who have volunteered, who fan banked, who walked door to door in support of only raising dollars to maintain what we currently have.
I would just like to say that all of our children are important, and there's many other areas to take $2 million from other than charter schools, because our charter school kids are just as important as our district-run schools. So if it's a $2 million thing, we should look at some of the other areas.
I'm fine with that. I just think we have to look at the big picture. We look at little chunks like this. We're not looking at
So we can take a little from teacher compensation, from
we have already taken dollars from teacher compensation. We've already reduced teacher compensation by $4 million when you compare a budget we looked at 2 months ago to the current budget. On top of that, efforts to increase the salary for our teachers at a very moderate, thoughtful amount have been turned down repeatedly by the majority of this board. These employees have taken a pay cut. Let's call the question.